As the creature faded from the circle, it felt as if reappearing someplace else, leaving the farmlands far behind. Yet the creature was saddened, for even though the beings inhabiting the farm might not have given it the kindest of welcomes into this world, it had felt like a small part of their existence, recognized as a being, albeit an insignificant one, of its own. Now, as the small creature once more began to explore its unfamiliar surroundings, it felt alone.
These runes look familiar somehow,
the small creature thought as it moved its hand over the carved surface. Below the alv tree there was a stone inscribed with strange runes. The stone was far too heavy for the creature to move. The stone was
The water looks awfully dark,
the small creature said as it saw the rocks get swallowed up by the water over and over again. The lake was still, its dark water silently reflecting the foreboding tree line. The small creature was tempted to enter the water, but hesitated at the last second. The moldy stick had suddenly been set aflame, and quickly burned to a crisp. All that remained was a pile of ash and a small piece of the charred stick. The creature picked up the charred stick.
I guess there's no point in going back to the farm,
the small creature stated with a determined nod. The small creature had reappeared in another circle of mushrooms, much like the one the creature had entered not long ago.
How wonderful it would be if they could shine like that forever,
the small creature said to itself as it dreamily looked up at the night sky. Even during a night as dark as this one, the clear sky allowed the stars to shed their light on the small creature's surroundings.
This surely is a beautiful place. But why did the Elf Queen send me here?
The creature wondered as it looked out across the glimmering lake, doubting that there would be a place for someone such as it along its shores.
Who would want to eat this?
The small creature said with disgust as it removed a rotten fish head from the net. A frayed fishing net covered in fish remains had been washed ashore. After getting entangled in the fishing net for a while, the small creature finally managed to pick it up.
The water looks awfully dark.
The small creature said as it saw the rocks get swallowed up by the water over and over again. The lake was still, its dark water silently reflecting the foreboding tree line.
If I was big enough, I could put this on my finger,
the small creature said with a shrewd smile. A post with an iron ring mounted on it was sticking up from the ground. The small creature lifted the ring and let it fall down again with a thud.
I wonder if they could be of any use,
the small creature said as it examined the strange grass. A group of bulrush plants were growing along the shoreline. The small creature reached out and grabbed the strange plants. Nakan is a being that is said to dwell within the deepest lakes and rivers of the land. Lone travelers have been known to hear his ominous song as they take a moment to rest at the water's edge. If they find themselves listening to his enchanting melody for too long, a strange urge to join him in the dark water instills itself in the unlucky traveler. As the creature opened its mouth to introduce itself, Nakan began to speak. "Why, hello there, little one. Who might you be?" Nakan said with a charming smile.
The
creature began, but Nakan quickly interrupted. "Aren't you a talkative little one?"
But
The small creature tried, but Nakan interrupted once more. "Is there anything you can do besides staring like an imbecile?" Nakan continued, now with a snide smirk on his face. "Just stare at me. Stare like those pesky Alvor swirling around in the trees with their magic, flaunting their melodies as if they think them to be better than mine. Preposterous! The lake is my domain, and mine alone. If only I could leave the water, I might be able to get a hold of their secrets," Nakan muttered as he stroked his chin in thought. "Anyway, my problems with the Alvor are none of your business. Why don't you use your tiny little feet and skip away out of my sight, like a little bunny? Hop, hop!" Nakan exclaimed, making a waving gesture towards the small creature. The small creature placed the bulrush pods on the stone. As the bulrush began to smoulder, a trail of smoke emerged and began its journey towards the sky. As the alvor started to cough from the thick smoke, a thin trail of alv dust fell from one of them, forming a small pile on the ground.
I never imagined those small things being able to create such an amount of smoke.
The creature said to itself, watching the smoke being carried away with the wind.
It sure does sparkle.
The small creature said as it stood in awe of the beautiful powder. A pile of alv dust had formed on the ground underneath the tree. The small creature managed to scoop up the glowing pile of alv dust. The small creature poured the glowing alv dust into the lake.
This feeling, I can feel them, their power coursing through me.
Maybe you aren't as useless as I thought.
Here's a bottle for your troubles.
I'm sure you can use it for whatever it is you do, Nakan said with a sarcastic look.
You may still be able to prove yourself slightly competent. Get me one of their melodies. I want to see for myself just what makes their songs so captivating. Your reward will be greater next time. Red toadstools had sprung up from the ground. It looks depleted. I wonder if there could be something down there.
The small creature said as it peered down into the emptiness. In the clearing there was a long since dried up well. As the small creature touched one of the stones, a few pebbles rocked loose and fell into the well.
At least the little ones have somewhere to live,
the small creature said, watching a number of insects skitter across the bark. A hollow ash tree, dead and colorless, was standing near the well. The natrum is always moving from place to place, searching for something not visible to normal eyes, unable to rest until it has found what it is looking for. Taking the shape of a raven, it can only be seen during these darkest of nights, spreading its black wings across the sky.
Hello!
The small creature said as loud as it could, trying to get the attention of the natrum up on the tree branch. Missing its right eye, the natrum had to turn its head to see the creature.
Who are you?
The small creature asked politely, even though the natrum hadn't responded to its greeting. The natrum twitched its head back and forth to be able to study the creature thoroughly. Then it started to speak.
Yes, I can see your past. You are a very helpful creature. Kind, yes. Risen from the grave, familiar, yes. But the future, I cannot see. No. The future lies within the right eye. Yes, the right eye will tell you what is about to come. Once the right eye is back in the void, the future will reveal itself before your very eyes, yes.
The natrum called out, clacking with its beak. With just a faint touch, the bark cracked and fell down into the small creature's hand.
I wonder why it was in such a hurry.
The small creature thought as it tried to see where the snail had run off to. In its escape, the snail had left a thin trail of mucus on the stones. The adhesive mucus was too sticky for the creature to carry in its hands.
Looks like someone has been using it for eating,
the creature said as it flicked off some of the leftovers from the tip. A shovel had been struck into the ground at the bottom of the well. After much effort, the small creature managed to pull the shovel out of the ground.
They seem to be spreading fast through the forest,
the small creature thought to itself, feeling slightly concerned. Red toadstools had sprung up from the ground. The toadstool trembled wildly as the creature touched it. Brunscuba are guardian deities who reside in deep wells, making sure that the water is clean and drinkable. They also keep an eye out for curious children, chasing them away to prevent them falling down into the wells. A Brunscuba is usually not a particularly evil creature, but if its well gets polluted, the Brunscuba's anger knows no boundaries. As the small creature reached the bottom of the well, it was welcomed by two glaring eyes, staring at it suspiciously.
Hello?
The small creature said, meeting the eyes' glaring gaze. The pair of eyes kept staring at the creature, as if they were waiting for something.
The creature could feel the eyes burrowing into it like daggers, and began to look around the well to avoid the eyes' penetrating gaze.
You have a very nice home down here in the well,
the small creature said in an attempt to get the one on the wall to talk. Without having blinked once, the eyes were still maintaining their intense stare. After a moment of silence, the Brunscuba started to speak.
Well, aren't you going to say anything? You barge into my home, uninvited I might add, and you don't even have the manners to introduce yourself. Who do you think you are? I did introduce myself,
the small creature mumbled, hurt by the Brunscuba's harsh accusation.
Not a day goes by without someone new falling down into my well. All you do is stare at me. It's rude, that's what it is. You think it's good manners to just come down here and do as you please? Where are the gifts? The knock on the lid and the water? Where is my damn water? I'm not much of a guardian with nothing to guard now, am I?
The Brunscuba muttered as he inspected the creature.
Can you hear me?
The small creature asked cautiously.
Bah, this one doesn't even understand it has, by far, overstayed its welcome.
The Brunscuba said to himself with a sigh.
Scram, come back when you got something to say. You're a real eyesore. I don't think he can hear me very well,
the small creature thought to itself as it glanced at the Brunscuba, still maintaining his terrifying gaze while mumbling to himself.
It has a hole right through it,
the small creature said, surprised by the strange shape of the shell. A hollow shell was lying on the ground. The small creature picked up the mysterious shell.
I hope they aren't poisonous,
the small creature thought to itself as it tried to find a way around the nettles. A row of nettles was blocking the small creature's path.
I knew I shouldn't have touched them,
the small creature said, rubbing the rash on its hand. With the help of the shovel, the small creature managed to remove a large enough section of the nettles for it to pass through.
They look really tasty,
the small creature said as its mouth began to water. A blackberry bush, rich with berries, was growing at the edge of the glade. A branch covered in berries came loose as the creature grasped it with its hand. A beautiful wingless alva sat alone on a stone near the lake with her head slumping down.
Hello there. I hope I'm not disturbing you.
The small creature said anxiously as it approached the alva on the stone, hoping that she would not turn away at the sight of it. The alva slowly looked up at the creature as she wiped away a tear rolling down her chin.
What's the matter?
The small creature asked as it tilted its head in wonder. The alva gave the creature a sad look before turning round to expose her wingless back.
I see.
The small creature said.
Please don't cry. Perhaps I can help you. Don't worry.
The alva clutched her hands together and looked at the creature with pleading eyes.
I might be in over my head this time. I hope I can keep my promise.
The creature thought as it slowly walked away. The small creature quietly listened as the wingless alva began to sing a sad, enchanting melody while looking towards the dark sky.
If it's not too much trouble, do you think you could share your beautiful song with me?
The small creature asked nervously. The wingless alva's face lit up for a moment, giving the creature a slight nod before writing down the notes on the paper.
I've never met someone as beautiful as her, but still she appears so sad.
The creature looked down at its tiny hands.
If there is some way for me to make her smile, I want to find it.
Now, this is surprising. I didn't actually think you could obtain something like this, Nakan said, seemingly impressed by the melody written on the note sheet. Very well. I suppose you have earned somewhat of a reward. Look into the shallow water at your feet. There should be something suitable buried in the sand. As the creature searched the bottom, it found a large mussel. Now I don't have time for you anymore. With this melody and my ability, I'll be able to surpass all others. As Nakan disappeared into the murky water, a subtle violin could be heard stemming from the depths of the lake. Using the iron ring, the creature was able to break the muscle. As it shattered, a gleaming pearl was revealed. The creature reached down and picked up the exposed pearl.
The void has been closed, and once again the coming times are mine to behold.
The natrum croaked as it stared into the distance.
Your future is dark, yes, tumbling down into nothingness. The darkness swallows you whole, yes. There is more. Crumbling, yes, crumbling, and then a light shining through the darkness. Escape quickly. Escape the darkness, or it will swallow you once again.
The natrum went silent as it once again stared into the distance. As the natrum finished its foretelling of the small creature's fate, it spread its wings and flew away over the trees, bringing the conversation to an abrupt end. During its departure, the natrum had shook off 2 of its black feathers that slowly fell to the ground.
Maybe I can use these to help the sad Alva,
the creature said, watching the natrum's silhouette grow smaller and smaller before disappearing amongst the treetops. Using the sticky mucus, the creature was able to glue together the 2 feathers.
Yes, perhaps this will do,
it thought, proud of its creation.
Can you hear me now?
The small creature asked as it placed the shell in the Brunskuber's ear.
What?
The Brunskuber's fierce stare disappeared abruptly upon the surprising discovery.
I haven't had any visitors speaking to me in a long time. Very well. Good manners is a rare thing these days. I suppose you could have one of the gifts I've been given over the years. Cherish it like I have, and you will surely find it useful one day. I will. Thank you,
the small creature said with a humble bow. No, that's not how it happened.
Here you go. Wings.
The small creature said cheerfully and held out its creation. The alva gave the 2 feathers glued together by the snail mucus a doubtful look.
Try them on,
the small creature exclaimed. The alva stood up and tried to put the wings on her back, but they just fell to the ground. They were simply too heavy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will bring you something else,
the small creature stuttered, its face turning slightly red. The alva let out a disappointed sigh and once more sat down on the stone, resting her head in her tiny hands.
She seems so unhappy.
the creature thought while listening to the lonely Alva humming a sad melody.
I hope I can keep my promise. The water looks awfully dark.
The small creature said as it saw the rocks get swallowed up by the water over and over again.
The toadstools are spreading rapidly. If nothing is done, they'll cover both me and my well. Stop them, I beg you.
The broomscuba let out a calm sigh at the sight of the nettles.
That should do the trick, at least for a while.
The broomscuba looked at the creature.
You need to escape this place. You can't stay here. The toadstools will soon engulf this part of the forest. Hurry! Flee while you still can.
As the creature turned around, it noticed the increasing amount of ominous toadstools beginning to move a bit too close for comfort. Heeding the broomscuba's warning, it decided to find a way to leave the lake.
The sad Alva.
The small creature suddenly remembered.
Without wings, she won't be able to escape by herself.
The creature filled the bottle with a fresh batch of the hag's colorful brew. As the creature fed the warm brew to the squeaking chick, it coughed up a decomposing part of a previous meal. Upon being fed, the chick quietened down, and a content look came over its previously agitated face. Meanwhile, the creature took the opportunity to quickly grab the smelly ingredient off of the ground.
Something seems to be missing,
the creature said as it watched the colorless brew.
Something seems to be missing.
The creature said as it watched the colorless brew.
What are you so worked up about?
The creature asked the squeaking chick. A few squeaking nestlings were spread along the cliff's edge.
Something. Hello? Would you please put her down? You're hurting her.
The small creature said warily, but got no response. The hag was tenderly staring her hot concoction, only stopping briefly to look up at her scrawny younglings. In her hand she held the wingless Alva, ominously dangling her back and forth beside the large cauldron. The hag prefers to build her nest on top of tall mountains, spreading her vile magic throughout the surrounding areas, infecting plant and creature alike. If you happen to come upon one of her minions, be wary not to get caught, as they will surely bring you before her.
What What are you so worked up about?
The creature asked the squeaking chick. A few squeaking nestlings were spread along the cliff's edge.
She needs my help.
The creature gathered its courage as it took a determined step away from the hole.
She needs my help. Hello, would you please?
The hag was tenderly staring her hot concoction, only stopping briefly to look up at her scrawny younglings. In her hand she held the wingless alva, ominously dangling her back and forth beside the large cauldron. The hag prefers to build her nest on top of tall mountains, spreading her vile magic throughout the surrounding areas, infecting plant and creature alike. If you happen to come upon one of her minions, be wary not to get caught, as they will surely bring you before her.
Hello, would you please put her down? You're hurting her.
The small As the fire blazed, sparks from the embers landed on the hag's foot, igniting the flammable brew. Aggravated by the burn, she quickly released the wingless alva from her clutch, turning her attention towards the small creature.
I'd better hurry.
It exclaimed, feeling the hag's rage building.